Hello and welcome along to the first ever video on my channel. This is going to be a Sudoku video. The channel is going to be a mixture of various things. It's going to have some GeoGuessr, some Sudoku, and it'll mostly have some Football Manager on it when the new Football Manager 26 comes out. But for today, we are going to concentrate solely on Sudoku. And the Sudoku we're going to play today is called This Fog is Not a Killer Gas. And we'll take you through the rules and try and solve it in as quick a time as possible. So, first of all, normal Sudoku rules apply. Now what that means is that we need to put the digits 1 to 9 in every row, and in every column, and in every 3x3 box as well. Now it also says here the grid is partially covered with fog, as you can see in front of you. Correctly placed digits will clear the fog around that cell and no guessing is required. Now what that means is if we were to get this number, I'm not going to put the number in because it might be right, but just say we worked out that this was a 1, what would happen there, and if it was correct, it would clear all the cells around about it there. Okay. Now it's very easy to just guess and just put all the numbers 1 to 9 in each box it's got fog, and eventually one will be correct and it would clear the fog, but that's not in the spirit of this type of puzzle. You are able to do this, or you should be able to do this logically without having to resort to guessing. Now one of the other rules is that there are digits in a cage. Now that's examples of which you can see there just now. Digits in a cage, they don't repeat, so you can't repeat any digits in the cage, and they also sum to the clue in the top left. So for example, this cage has digits that add up to 5, this cage has digits that add up to 15. And the last rule is that a white dot between cells, that indicates cells with consecutive values, and not all dots are given. So just to take a look at what that means, you can see there's a white dot between those two cells there. So if we said, for example, that was a 6, then we would know that this would either have to be a 7, because 7 is consecutive with 6, or it would have to be a 5, because 6 is consecutive with 5. And that's how white dots work. Now, the last part of that rule, it says not all dots are given. What that basically means is that what's called there is no negative constraint. And all that basically means is if we had a 1 here and a 2 here, but there was no white dot in between them, that's perfectly fine. It's just giving us positive information and telling us that where there are white dots, those digits have to be consecutive. So let's go ahead. I will put the link for this puzzle in the description below, so if you want to have a go yourself you can do. But now let's see if I can solve it. This is supposed to be a relatively easy one, which is handy because I'm not very good at these. But we'll have a wee look and see how we go. So let's first take a look. And one of the good things about Fog of War puzzles is that they concentrate your mind on one part of the puzzle or a couple of parts of the puzzle. For example, there's no way of knowing anything about what's happening down here or down here. So you know that we're going to have to concentrate on these. Now, 5 and 15 cages are immediately interesting, and that's because there's only 2 ways that you can fill each of them. So a 5 cage has to be either a 2 or a 3, or a 1 and a 4, and the 15 cage has to either be a 6 and a 9, or a 7 and an 8. That's the only 2 ways that would work. So let's just take a look and see if we can deduce anything from that. Now what's interesting here is that we have a run of 3 consecutive digits in between those two. So the first question I'm going to ask is, can this be a 1-4 pair? Now if it was a 1-4 pair, what would you then put in here, which would still allow you to fill this in? Well, even if you went up to the next one that you could, so 1 and 4, 2 and 3 would be out of the question because you couldn't do 3 in a row there. So you could do 5, 6 and 7, but if you do 5, 6 and 7, that means you're left with 8 and 9 in there, and 8 and 9 are up to 17. If you do 6, 7, 8, you've got 9 in both of these, so that's nonsense. And if you do 7, 8 and 9, again, you've got nonsense there as well. So I don't think this can be 1 and 4, so I'm going to say, I'm going to say that this is a 2-3 pair. Now what that also means is there can't be a 1 in any of these squares, so the 1 in this row is either there or there. Now can this be a 6-9? Is going to be my next question. And again, we're looking at it from the point of view of this run of consecutive digits here, because again, the least that could be would be if that was now 4, 5 and 6, which would take 6, 9 out of there, or it could be 5, 6 and 7, which again is rubbish, or it could be 6, 7 and 8, which doesn't work, or 7, 8 and 9, which doesn't work. So on that basis, I don't think that that can be a 6-9 pair, which should lead us to what this is. And I think the only thing this can be is 4, 5 and 6 now, and that gives us 1 and 9 at either end. And of course that's now also going to give us our first digit, because in this run of digits here, the middle one is always going to be 5. So hopefully this is going to clear some fog. If it's not, then I've made a mess of it straight away. And there we go, excellent. So we'll just tidy up those pencil marks here. Okay, so let's have a look and see what we've got here. So that's opened up another couple of things there. We've got a 10 cage, which is at least 2 squares. Now that could be 3 squares, or it could be 4 squares, I think. Although looking at this clue here, it might be a bit difficult. Now, why am I saying that this could be 4 squares? Well, the what's called the triangular number for 10 would be, if these were adding up to 1, it would be 4. So you've got 1, 2, 3 and 4, and the earliest first 4 digits in Sudoku do add up to 10 in that regard. However, that's not possible here because of this white dot here. So this 10 cage does come into there. If it went another place, it would have to be 1, 2 and 3 and 4, but that's now impossible. So this 10 cage stops there. I'll make that pink. So that is what this cage is. Now, what's interesting about this is that this is either, if this was a 7, that would either be a 6 or an 8. If it was an 8, it would either be a 7 or a 9, I think. If it's a 7, it's a 6 or an 8. If it's an 8, it's a 7 or a 9. Now, you can clearly see here that 2 of these digits are complete nonsense, and that's 8 and 9. If you tried to put an 8 in there, you would need to put double 1 in there to make it to 10. So that's not an 8, and of course 9's even worse. So this is 6 or 7. Now if this is 7, these have to be 1 and 2, and if it's 6, they have to be 1 and 3. And now we know something about this conglomeration of digits. But before we go on to that, just have a quick look at this here again. So this is either 612 or it's 7. Sorry, it's either 613 or it's 712. So there is a 1 in these 2 digits there, which means there's no 1 in this conglomeration of digits, and this also cannot be a 3-cell cage, because if it was a 3-cell cage, that would have to have the numbers 1, 2 and 3, and you can clearly see that's not going to work from there. So this must be a 2-cell cage stopping there. It can't have a 1 in it, so the only other way you can make a 2-cell cage add up to 6 is 4 and 2. Now what that does is it makes that a 6, hopefully. Yep, and that's opened up some fog, and this now is a 4, which again has opened up some fog, which is nice. Okay. Now that being a 2 and 4 takes the 2 out of here, and that also means that this now has to be a 6, which opens that up. This is now a 7, this is now an 8, and we've got a 13 cage opened up there now. Now there's an interesting one. I don't think we quite know yet what that's going to be. If it was a 9, that would be an easy fill, because then these 2 would have to add up to 4, and that would just be a 1-3 pair. So that would all be fine. Okay. Now we've got this box up here. Now there's 2 sets of 2 consecutive digits there, but I don't see... Well, you could have 7 and 8, and you could have 1 and 2, or 2 and 3. Now here's something. One clue that you know about white dots, about consecutive digits, because the digits are consecutive, they must have one even number and one odd number. Now, what's the even number that's on this white dot? Well, it can't be 6, can't be 2, can't be 4, so there is an 8 on here where it's either with a 9 or a 7. So that's that there. Now, I'm not sure exactly what the rest of this would be in that regard. And it looks like we've hit our first brick wall of the solve so far. This could still be, well, we know that there's definitely an 8 on this, so we can just pencil mark that. Right, so this can't have a 9 on it, because a 9 would need to have an 8, and they can't have an 8 on there, so there's no 9 on here. Could be a 9 on there though, that's the problem there. Now we've got 1, 2 and 3 to fit in these 4 boxes. Now what that means is that this conglomeration, or this white dot, needs to have 1, 2 or 3 on it. And that's because we can't put 1, 2 and 3 in those 2 boxes. If there's a 3 here, it must be with a 2 because we've already got a 4. If it's a 1, it must be a 2 as well. So I'm just beginning to wonder whether there has to be a 2 in here. And I'm going to say that there does have to be a 2, because this either is now 1, 2, or it's 2, 3. Okay. So there's definitely a 2 there. Now, a 2 being here and a 2 being here means that we've got a 2 down here somewhere. And then these 2 digits are going to be whatever the 2 digits are that we don't use from the white dot. So if this was an 8, 9 and this was a 1, 2, that would be a 3, 7, for example. That does give us a 1, 2, 3 pair there, or 1, 2, 3 triple should I say there, which is kind of interesting. But again, we're a bit kind of stuck as to where exactly to look here. 8 in this box has to go in one of those 4 spaces. What about this? Well, this can't have 6 or 8 on it, so it has to have either 2 or 4. That's not really very helpful, so that could be 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, or 4, 5. If this is a 1, these 2 have to add up to 12. But they could be any of them. There's 3 different ways you can add 2 digits up to 12 in Sudoku, and that is 8, 4, 7, 5, and 9, 3. And I think all of these would work there. If it was 7, 5, or 8, 4, the 7 or the 8 would have to go here. And then the smaller digit would go there, of course. Okay. So what do we do now? Well, I'm a little bit stuck. As I said at the start, one of the things about Fog of War Sudokus is that you know that where you go now is going to be centred around this area, because there's absolutely no clues down here. So there's not even any point looking down this area of the grid at the moment. So this is a 1 or a 9, and we know... there we go. As I said right at the start, this is either a 1 or a 9. What would happen if this was a 9? That would have to add up, these 2 digits would have to add up to 4. The only way you can do that would be if that was a 3 and a 1 essentially. Well, you can't put 3 or 1 in this box here. So that then becomes a 1, this becomes a 9, and that has opened up more goodies. So now we've got a 16 cage with a 9 in it, so those 2 digits have to add up to 7. Now, is there any restriction from that? Well, let's go back to this one again, because remember we said that this has to add up to 12 now, the 2 boxes that are not 1. So these 2 digits have to add up to 12. Now, because we have this 1, 3 pair in here, I think that means that this has to be the big digit. So if it was 7, 5, 8, 4, or 9, 3, this has to be the 7, 8, or 9. Now it can't be a 3 because of this. It can't be a 4 because you need to put the 8 there, it would clash with that, and it can't be a 5 because you need to put the 7 there, that would clash with this. So this is 7, 8 or 9, which means that this is 5, 4 or 3. Right. Okie dokie. So let's get back to this part again. Now we know that these two digits add up to 7. And again, there's 3 different ways of adding 2 digits to 7. You can have 1, 6, you can have 2 and 5, or you can have 3 and 4. Now if it's 2 and 5, or 3 and 4, the 5 and the 4 would have to go here. If it was 1 and 6, the 6 would have to go here. Now, let's just think about that. Well, this can't be 1 and 6 because we've got 6 there and we've got 1 there, which means that would have no fill. So this is now either 2 and 5 or 3 and 4, and that means, and it can't be 3 and 4 because you can't put a 3 on here anywhere. So I think this has to be 5 and 2. And that's opened up that, and that's opened up that, and we get a 4 here. This now becomes a 2. That's not really, it has cleared fog, but it's not really given us much else. We do have a white dot here. Now, let's have a look and see what this can't be. Well, because of this box here, this can't be 1, 2, it can't be 2, 3, it can't be 3, 4, it can't be 4, 5, it can't be 5, 6. So it is 6, 7 or 7, 8, interestingly. And what it means is that there's definitely a 7 there, which means that there's definitely no 7 here. Okay. Right. And this now is no longer a 5, which means this can't be a 7. Okay. 1 in this box has to be in one of these 3 spaces. So does 4 for that matter. And the other digit is going to be whatever digit we don't use here. But again, that looks like we've kind of reached the end of the line a little bit there in terms of what we can do. This again, well, this is interesting. Just trying to work out what this can possibly be. Now it needs to have a 2 or a 4 in it, which means that the 2 or the 4 have to go here, and that I think therefore has to be a 4, and it is. This can't be a 3, so it has to be a 5. And that now means that these 2 digits are 8, 9 and 7. So 7, 8 and 9 are what we've got there, and there must be a 7 along there. Now this has opened up a new clue, which is a 3-cell cage adding up to 18 that doesn't involve the digits 4, 5 and 6. So does that have to be 3, 7, 8? I think it probably does. Now let me just think if there's any other way that we could possibly do that. No, we could have 2, 7 and 9 as well, couldn't we? So 3, 7, 8, 2, 7, 9. Can't be 1, 8, 9 because of this 8, 9 here. So it's either 3, 7, 8 or it's 2, 7, 9. So there's definitely a 7, which can't be there. So this 7 is going to be joined by 2 digits that add to 11, and it's either 2, 9 or 3, 8, which of course creates a virtual 8, 9 pair with this up here. Okay, 1. Now we can't put a 1 in here, we can't put a 1 there, or there, or there, or there, so I think this has to be a 1. And it is, doesn't clear much, but at least we get that. And these 2 digits will add up to 11, and it will be the 2 digits that we don't use in there. Ah, wait a minute, 2. The 2 there and the 2 there means that there has to be a 2 in here. So therefore this is now 2, 7 and 9, and that can't be a 7. Now what that means is that this is an 8, 9, so this is a 4. Oh, we get a bit of a cage up there. And this then becomes a 3. And there's no 8 in there now, so that becomes a 7-9 pair. Okay. Right. I've got 1, 2, 3 and 4 along here. So 3 here, 3 here. Means there's a 3 down there. Excuse me. What else can we see? 4. 4 here and 4 here. It means there's also a 4 down there. Now there's a 7 here. In fact, there's a 7 and 9 here. Oh, in fact, we've actually got a little bit of what's called roping going on in these middle squares. What I mean by roping is that you've got 2, 7, 9 there, then 2, 7, 9 there, and 2, 7, 9 there. So that's now handy because we now know that this is 6, 5 and 8. And we also know that the 6, 5 and 8 goes there now. And this is 1, 3 and 4. Okay, so that's not a 5. That's not a 6. That's not a 5. Okay. Right, so what do we do now? Now there's this cage up here, but we don't know where that goes. That could start there and be 4 cells long, but of course we don't know how much it is. Now 7. 7 is here, 7 is here, so there's a 7 in here, which goes in one of these 2. Okay. That could still be 8, 7 though. This could still be 1, 2, or 2, 3. 5s. There's a 5 in the top row, which has to be here or here. Okay. Four goes down here somewhere. It's one of these 3 cells. 8 is also, excuse me, in one of these 3 cells as well. Okay. Right, okay, so again, I'm getting a little bit stuck. What do we do now? Ah, 4. Where does 4 go in box 1? And it has to go there. Which means that's no longer a 4. And it also means we get a 1 in here somewhere. Now, this means we also get a 1 in the top row, which has to be in, yeah, because we've got a 1 there, a 1 there, so the 1 here has to be here. Now that creates a little bit of an X-wing on 1s. 1 there and 1 there. Now what do I mean by an X-wing? Well, basically in the finished solution of this puzzle, there's either going to be a 1 there and a 1 there, or a 1 there and a 1 there, which creates a bit of an X-wing. Now that's quite a handy tool to use in Sudoku, because you can then ask yourself the question, where does the 1 go in this column? Well, we know that one of these 2 is a 1, so it can't go there, and we know that one of these 2 is a 1, it can't go there. Now, in this particular example, all these are filled up anyway, but it just means that there has to be a 1 down here. So if all of these were all blank, you could never put a 1 in any of them. So X-Wing's quite a handy tool to learn in the Sudoku world. Hasn't really done us that much good so far. There's also a 3 down here though, I've just seen. But I think that's as much as we're going to get from that. Right. What do we not have in here? 5. Yeah, we've got 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got nothing really jumping out at the moment. These 2 digits are basically 1 and whatever one we don't use from here. Now we can use the X-wing, well, sort of again. We've got a 7 there, we've got a 7 there, so we've got a 7 down here. Hey, dum 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 dum. 5, as we know, is one of those 2. What am I missing? Probably, and usual with these Sudoku puzzles, I miss the most obvious things, and on the off chance that anyone ever watches this, you'll be screaming at the screen just now going, why can't you see where to go next? And that's because I'm not very good at it. But I try my best. Okay, so what do we do now? I honestly have no idea. So let's just take stock. 8 we know's down there. 9 we've only got 1 off. 6. Can't really do much with it. We know there's a 6 there and there's a 6 in here. I mean, these 3 middle rows here are done in terms of we know where the digits lie, we just don't know exactly. And we're probably not going to get any more with that. So we need to think about more cleverly, I suppose, about what goes on up here. But again, we know that these 2 digits are just whatever 2 digits are not used in those white dots. So if that's a 1 and a 2, that's an 8 and a 9, as we said earlier, that's a 3 and a 7, which it can be. If this is a 2 and a 3 and an 8 and a 7, that's a 1 and a 9, and it can be. Actually, that does create a 1, 3, 7, 9 quadruple in there, because this is either going to be 3 and 7. Oh, hang on, wait a minute. If this is an 8 and a 9, that's a 7, but if that was a 3 and a 2, that would be a 1. I'm talking rubbish. No, I'm still right. I think because 2 and 8 are always going to have to be there, this is always going to be made up of 1, 7, 3 and 9. Which gives us a 1739 quadruple in there. So basically, these first 5 digits are known, which means these are 2, 5, 6 and 8. Now, problem is this could be a 5 here, couldn't it? If the 5 was here, that would be a 5. If the 5 was here, 5 would be down there along with the 1 and the 3. That would be 1, 3 and 5. That would be an 8. It can't be. In fact, I've been looking at this for so long. Look, there's definitely an 8 in there, so this can't be an 8. So that is in fact a 5. So this isn't a 5. Now we've got a 6 clue here. Now, we need to be a little bit careful here, I think. Ooh. Now this is interesting, this 6 clue, because it can't possibly be a 2-cell clue, because we've got 4 and 2 there, and we've got 5 there. So this must be 1, 2 and 3, but it can't be 1, 2 and 3 just straight the way down, because we've got a 2 there. It can't go 1, 2, 3 there, because we have a 1, 2, 3 triple up here. So I think the only way that this can work is if it bends round like that. And then this, these are 1, 2, well, of course that can't be 2, so I think this has to be a 2. And it is. Would you look at that? 2 there, so this is a 1-3 pair now. And, oh well, we can get 3 up here. We can get 2 there. This is now not a 3. But nothing's coming of that. Now, this digit here has to be a big digit. It has to be 7, 8 or 9. It can't be an 8. So this is 7 or 9. And it's what's ever not used here. The key thing here is, though, is that this is a 12 cage which extends to there. It can't go any further now because this is a 7 or a 9. If this is a 9, this can't be a 9, I'm going to claim, because if that's a 9 you would need a 1-2 pair, and there's nowhere to put a 2 in either of those spaces. So this has to be a 7. Now these 2 digits now add up to 5. Now we've already ascertained we can't put a 2 in either of those, so this has to now be a 4-1 pair. We can't put a 1 in there, so that's a 4, that's a 1. This is now not a 4. This is now a 4. This is now a 1. Oops. We can get rid of that. This can't be a 7 now. Now, what that means, of course, is that that's now an 8-9 pair. Okay, this can't be a 1. Okay, so we're getting there. Oh, this has now become a 3 from nowhere. And that's now a 1. Now, white dot there, and it's definitely got a 7 on it. Unfortunately, we don't know whether the adjoining digit is an 8 or a 6. But it does now give us a 6, 7, 8 pair, which means that this should be a 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. There we go. First ever Sudoku puzzle, and I get a 3 in the corner. Excellent. Okay. Now, this now must be 6 or 8, I'm going to say. Now we've got a three-way tie here, and the middle digit is either 5, 6 or 8. Now if it was 8, it would have to be bordered by 7 and 9. The 9 would have to go there. That would need to be a 7, and it can't be. Yeah, so this is not an 8. If this is a 5, it has to be bordered on either side by 4 and 6. So the 6 would have to go here, and the 4 would have to go there, which it can do. If it's a 6, it has to be bordered by 5 and 7. So, and it can't be, because this can't be 5 or 7. So I think this is a 5. Yep. And it is bordered by 4 and 6. That has to be the 4. This has to be the 6. And now we can get rid of those. That now becomes an 8. This becomes a 6. This is no longer a 4. And I feel as though we're making some decent progress now. This can't be a 6 now. Okay. Right. Now, this white dot doesn't have a 4 or an 8 on it, so it must have a 2 or a 6, and that 2 or 6 has to be here. So this is either 2 and 1 or 2 and 3, or it's 6 and 7. Oh, 6 and 7 can't be 6 and 5. Right. Oh, we almost get a triple there, but that's got an 8 on it there. Okay. Now we still don't know that the makeup of this cage is, annoyingly. Yeah, this has been quite annoying for some time now, but let's have a look further down and see what we can ascertain from in here. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Right, let's take a look at see what numbers we've got. So 1. The only place where 1 can go in box 9, I think, is in here. Because it can't go there, it can't go there, it can't go there, and it can't go there. So yeah, that is a 1. And therefore, that's a 2. This now becomes an 8. That becomes a 2. This becomes a 3. That becomes a 1. That becomes an 8. This is no longer an 8. Still isn't quite revealing itself. 2. My nose up there. What about 3? 4. 4 in box 7. I think he's only got one place to go, and it is there. And that is the last 4. We've got all the 4s now. Let's take a look at 5. I don't think there's really very much we can do with 5 at the moment. No. 6. New. 7. That's even worse. And 8. Well, we've got an 8 in the middle row there. But in fact, what are those 4 digits? Because I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in here, don't we? So these are now 7, 8, and 9. That can't be a 7, so that's an 8 and a 9. This is a 7 and a 9. Okay. So here we've got 5, 8, 6, and 4. And also a 2 up here. This has got 8 of the 9 digits in it. So what does it not have? It doesn't have a 9. And that's handy because that makes that a 7. That makes that a 9. Still don't know what's in here though, or do we? Well, it's 1, 3, and 7. And that can't be a 1. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 7, yeah. So that's 1 and 2, that becomes 3 and 7. That's 2 and 3, becomes 1 and 7. Yeah. Okay. Right. So we're getting there. 5 in this box goes either here or here. 6 can go either there, there, or there. And then of course 7, 8, and 9, so that's all good. Now, what are the 3 digits that we need in here? We need 5, 6, and 9 in here. Can we do anything with that? Just 5 out of here, that's all. And we need 4 digits in this line, so we need 6, 7, 3, and 5, I think. So that can't be a 3, that can't be a 6 or a 7, and this can't be a 3. Now that gives us a 5, 6, 7 triple, so that's a 3 in there. Which puts a 3 up here somewhere. Now what about this column here? This needs 2, 9, and 5. And that can't be a 5. So that means this is a 5. And that opens up this cage now. Now, that's a 17 cage. We have a 5, so we have to have 2 digits there adding up to 12. It can't be 7, 5 or 4, 8. So these are 3 and 9, and we know the order of that. We're not getting a second 3 in the corner, unfortunately. But that now becomes a 2. This is now a 3, so this is now a 2. This is an 8. That becomes a 9. This becomes a 1. That becomes a 3. This is a 9. This is a 7. This is a 2. This is a 7. That's a 7. That's a 1. Oh, and look, it's got another dot there that I never even noticed there. That's not an 8 now. But that's an 8. That's an 8, which means that has to be a 7, and this has to be a 6 now. Which means that that's a 5, that's an 8, that's a 9, that's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 6, that's a 9, that's a 5, that's a 7, that's a 9, that's a 6, and that's a 7. and that's a 6. Yay, and it's correct. Excellent. Okay. 40 minutes for that, which is pretty ridiculous for how easy it is, but that's how good I am at Sudoku. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next one.